Warning, we are a spoilers podcast. At times we are also an offensive podcast. And we are most certainly a verbally explicit podcast. So if you fear for any of your delicate sensibilities, please back up now before you reach the point of no return. Alright, pussies, this is your final warning.
Welcome to another episode of Cinematic Anarchy, where today we are going to be talking about well, I guess some people called it a megaflop. We all love this film. I'm guessing we all loved this film. I'm talking for everybody right now.
Yeah,
yes?
No, it's good. Yeah.
Does God agree?
I know where I stand.
Oh, yes. I know where you stand. Yes. Greatest film ever. We are talking about Hudson Hawk. And with me today, we have Blunt Bob. Yep. Yep. Okay. You're there. Yep. And we have Matt and Rachel.
I didn't know what else to say. You introduced me, and then, hi, how you guys doing? It's Blunt Bob here. I'm sitting here talking about the greatest movie ever made. I don't know where this voice came from.
What are the 3 movies you've ever watched?
Yeah, I've only seen...
Wow. Oh, well, only 3. I think Are we forgetting some as we're going along? It's like as the list moves, it's like these are the only 3 movies I've ever seen, and then one adds itself.
You forgot about this one over here. 3.
Mm-hmm. And Super Mario Brothers.
It's like selective memory. It's like one adds itself to the list, and something from behind just falls off. Suddenly, we don't know who the Mario Brothers even are anymore.
I mean, ignore the movie posters behind.
Ignore them completely. Well, just because you have posters on your wall doesn't mean that you've actually seen them.
Those are TV shows, not movies.
Oh, there's True Blood, but there's also the Fantastic Four. The one with Ewan Griffith.
Oh, yeah. Wow, I completely forgot. Ewan.
Yeah, Ewan Griffith's and yeah.
I completely forgot he was in a Fantastic Four movie.
Oh?
I don't have to have seen Dukes of Hazzard to have Jessica East wall.
That's true.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And, of course, joining us again today, we also have Matt and Rachel from the Strange and Beautiful Book Club podcast.
Oh, we live here now.
Pretty much. I mean, you're on a small hiatus.
We are, yeah.
So do you guys, is your podcast about books?
Yeah, it's book and movie adaptations is what we wanted to do, but then he reads really slow, so sometimes we just do other movies too.
Because I have a day job.
You have to like work or whatever.
You know, I have a bachelor's in literature, and I read very slow.
I
did not realize.
But
I didn't realize I read fast until I started doing a podcast with other people, and I was like, have you finished the book? And Matt's like, no, it's been like a day. And I'm like, well, yeah, I can finish the book in a day.
I've only spent like 2 hours reading it.
I would love to come on and talk about The Night Side, because as like me and Chris are the only ones who read that series.
Mm-hmm. I think I read up to book 10 or 11.
Yeah, Matt, I read the first 3 or 4. I think Matt read most of it.
I think I read it up to as far as you did.
Yeah, I think I stopped like 8 or 9 years ago.
He's probably got more now.
So it's such a
there are more since then.
It never got any. I think last one I read was I think it was The Good, the Bad. When did they do the actual war?
I don't remember the names of the books.
The Bad and the Uncanny.
The last, really impactful memory from the Nightside series is when they find, what's his name? The guy with the horns. Hearn the Hunter. They're talking to Hearn the Hunter, and he's like a homeless guy in an alley. And they meet him, and then they go back in time and have this whole thing back in the past when Hearn the Hunter was like one of the great superpowers of the supernatural world. And then they come back to their present, and they're like, Hearn, man, you did good in your day.
That was pretty early on.
Well, they have the whole war. There's the speaking gun, and
yeah, I remember he gets rid of the people that are hunting him through time. He resolves that plot arc. But I don't remember much past that.
Well,
but again, it's been almost 10 years since I read it.
When we do it, we're going to start doing more books. So when we do it, we'll let you know.
I wouldn't mind rereading the series.
I think we could alternate Malazan books with Nightside books. And I think that would be a good, palate cleanser between the, grimdark high fantasy versus
grimdark urban fantasy?
Noir urban fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should also include Neverwhere in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You mean the book that Super Mario Brothers was a remake of?
Yeah, I stand by that.
Anyway, Hudson Hawk.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say.
Right? Kind of. Well, it's fine. We get off track a little bit. It's natural here. Yeah.
It's anarchy, one might say.
I like things.
Right. You know, got to leave room for tangents, a little bit of deviation from the actual subject.
So this is such an influential film that a huge series of books and films, blockbusters, completely bit off of it, and that was the Da Vinci Code.
I remember going to see the Da Vinci Code at a movie theater in Virginia, and there were literally protesters outside the movie theater as we walked in.
I remember that.
I mean, it is kind of a Vatican heist movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this does have a lot of parallels.
I also think Red Notice is pretty much a knockoff, too.
I wonder if as many people protested Hudson Hawk for...
It was pre-Facebook where those people could concentrate and like develop an echo chamber.
I don't know, because that's where Harry Potter got so popular. Because remember, they banned her first book?
Right, yeah. That was
Was that because of the transphobia?
No, that was way before the transphobia.
No, it's because there were witches in it. Yeah.
And they did
They banned it
magic.
'cause of witches?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they banned, like, it got banned. And so then everyone was like, ooh, what's this book that got banned? And
Hold on, I saved a thing on Threads relevant to
I would
the
love to know who
J.K.
picketed
Rowling
Hudson Hawk. I
transphobia.
feel like there was one person in the world who was like, Hudson Hawk has got to go. And they were just alone out in front.
Well, it's funny about this movie that it was so panned by critics, but at the time it was the most expensive film ever made.
Okay, here's
Wow.
a quote from J.K. Rowling. It matters not what someone is born, but what they grow to be. And someone said, that aged well.
So I make movies with this guy named Mark Mackner. Terrible human being. Very upset I've ever met him. But I'm stuck making movies with him, and unfortunately he's one of my best friends. And a sweet
that
guy. He
happens
still
sometimes.
sucks. But yeah, so he has worked with Andrew Brynjarski a few times. They've actually become friends where Andrew brought Mark and his kids to I think it was New Jersey HorrorCon as his guests. So apparently he has told Mark that this is the movie he is most proud of because
That's
it was the
pretty
most expensive
cool.
movie ever made. And he said that Bruce Willis took a real risk on him since all their fight scenes were together. And I think it was something about him being so much bigger than Bruce or something, but he said Bruce took a risk on him and it paid off in the long run. Not to mention that Andrew also ended up becoming Leatherface. But the cast is just unbelievable. I think we have such an all-star cast. You got Bruce Willis, Danny Aiello, Andy McDowell, James Coburn, Richard E. Grant, Don Harvey, David Caruso, Andrew Brynjarski, Frank Stallone, and I guess you could mention Sandra Bernhard.
You guess you could mention Sandra Bernhard?
I mean, she's
I think that's all
hateable.
over that.
You're forgetting the most important
I love
part of
her.
the film, Frank Welker playing Bunny the dog.
I'm a huge Richard E. fan. I really want Marvel to give him a series.
Yes, he
Yeah.
is a very good character actor.
Yeah.
I agree.
Him as classic. Like I got addicted to drugs and alcohol, but that's a different story. I got addicted to this video on YouTube of classic Loki when he's like fighting the thing, like he's rebuilding Asgard to fight the giant creature, the beast or whatever. And Bonnie Tyler's Holding Out for a Hero was playing, and I could not stop playing that video. It was becoming a problem.
I would say it'd probably be more of a problem for the people around you. Because if
Yeah.
you were enjoying it, fine. But that could turn into like a form of torture real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I did it in my private moments and my public.
How did those public moments turn out?
I know, Chris, I know you mentioned before when we talked about this, David Caruso's role,
Yes. Kit Kat.
Yeah.
Yep.
With the cards.
which I really appreciate David Caruso playing a mute.
I mean, if
It
you
was
could
such
do,
an interesting choice. This movie is a fever dream.
if they could
movie
involve
never
him
can
in
do.
like more roles where he doesn't speak at all, yeah, I think
Yeah.
he could build a career off of that.
Yeah, like Doug
Instead of
Jones.
having a career off of the body was burned to death. Can you say heat wave? Bum, bum, bum.
Just always like just putting on the sunglasses as he's making the,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the comment.
I only remember him from NCIS.
Yeah. Oh, CSI.
CSI Miami.
Oh,
Mad Dog and
CSI.
Glory. Mad Dog and Glory.
Procedural crime drama.
Yes, procedural crime drama.
I love whenever I mention an obscure movie, Chris always gets the reference. Hey, that movie, Mad Dog and Glory, was a movie that introduced me to Uma Thurman's boobs, so I like it.
That was
Always say thank you.
that's something to be thankful for, I suppose.
Yeah, David Caruso was great in that one. Rachel, you mentioned like this is like a fever dream. To me, a lot of things people don't notice is the surrealness and the campiness.
Yeah.
It's
like a weird blend. It's
Yeah,
a weird
just-
blend
it's
of
got so
action and
much going
surreal.
on at once. Like it's like an Indiana Jones movie, but then a heist movie, and then like even the it starts off with Leonardo da Vinci, and then goes to him in jail, and then the one-liners are so irrelevant, and there's brains there. Like I want to do community service. I want to teach blind people how to yodel.
Yeah. It's like Bruce Willis is in a different movie. Like everyone else is in an action movie, and then he's in like a slapstick comedy.
But it's like,
That's a
I think
really
Bryan
good way to
Cranston said it. Bryan Cranston said when you're playing a comedic role, you need to either play it as completely just off the wall, like funny, or you need to play it completely straight, as in you are taking this movie extremely seriously so that you can pull off the lines.
Yeah.
We also can't ignore two of the greatest sequences of this movie is the singing.
They're singing. That's when it starts to feel like a surreal fever dream, because you're like, this is an action movie. We're in a cat burglar, like they're gonna do a heist, and then all of a sudden we're gonna have like a musical number.
Right, we're
where we
cutting
sing
back and
Frank
forth
Sinatra.
between
Yeah.
the two cat burglars, and they're singing
like-
along with. They're actually playing the song in the background music, and
Yeah.
they're singing along with it.
Yeah.
To me, it's just a brilliant concept of the greatest cat burglars in the world, and the way they time it out is they both sing a song.
Well,
Yeah.
this is definitely where his like alternate personality. Bruce Willis was definitely testing out that alternate personality of Bruno with this, where he went on to make several
Bruce Willis.
like albums.
Well, you got him as a musician, then you got Danny Aiello who could sing.
Danny Aiello can blow Bruce Willis right out of the water with his singing voice.
Well, he definitely has that old school Italian sound. Like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
both have very different voices.
Yeah.
I would say
I
that
mean, that was good. Like,
that Bruce Willis's voice lends more towards blues than crooning.
Yeah.
So he's more of an R&B
My
artist.
one upset.
Go ahead.
The one thing I'm kind of upset about is that they kind of slept on Side by Side.
Yeah, true.
It wasn't as big of a sequence as
Swinging on a
Swinging
Star.
on a Star.
Yeah, they slept on. No, yeah, Swinging a Star. They slept on.
Oh, you
It
felt
wasn't as big of a sequence as Side by Side.
Yeah. Well, Side by Side had explosions.
that was their
Wait,
big finale.
I'm confused.
It was a big
Okay, I
finale.
did say it right the first time. They slept on Side by Side. Swinging on the Star was a bigger sequence.
Okay.
But like you said, Rachel, they had the explosions in Side by Side, but they didn't
Yeah.
They just didn't have the whole sequence like they were on.
Right, with the crescendo at the end where they like sing. Like they finally got the thing. It's sitting in the background, but they have to finish the song. So they sing the song.
I love that part. He's like, "Let's take it home."
And then they end up
it's funny
running away.
because-
Like, so weird. Good,
Then
but
the
weird.
movie Richie Rich. In the movie Richie Rich, they had to the Riches had to sing Side by Side to open the vault.
Oh,
Right. The
And the only reason I remember that is because as a kid, I remember saying, "Oh, that's a song from Hudson Hawk."
this movie sticks with you. It's one of those movies where you're like, wow. Remember that movie where Bruce Willis sang Frank Sinatra songs?
one with one-liners
funny story
dropped literally every 3 minutes.
Yeah,
If
but
that.
only him. No one else is
It was
wisecracking.
very Army of Darkness in ways, with the one-liners, with the campiness, with the slapstick.
Hmm.
Especially when Bruce is stuck going, "Oh, I dropped my hat."
Yeah.
If only we could go
and then
back
there was like
and
the weird
Like, it had
physical
that-
comedy.
It had that slapstick, it had the one-liners, it had the campiness. Even though it's not a horror film, it's not supernatural in any way, it still had almost a very much Sam Raimi Army of Darkness feel to it.
okay,
But
now
and it's not even
Yeah.
really a comedy. Okay, sorry, go Chris.
Sorry, I'm just now he's mentioning Army of Darkness. Now I've got this really big itch for like a Hudson Hawk versus Ash Williams kind of thing.
I think we should see Hudson Hawk versus the Army of Darkness without Ash being in the picture.
The Hudson of Darkness.
But unfortunately, Bruce Willis isn't capable of anything anymore.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
That's sad.
Which is one of the saddest things for me because of how big of a fan I've always been. He's always been my favorite action star.
Even in some of his more obscure films, I still enjoyed him. Not saying that the rest of the film doesn't fall apart around him, just I enjoyed him.
You mean in the end when he just started making every fucking movie he could, like Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, he did the Nick Cage thing. Without the Nick Cage success, unfortunately.
He really did. I've seen so many posters.
Sick. I think that's why.
Yeah.
For just like completely off the wall movies and starring Bruce Willis.
I mean, why not?
Why?
They created a Razzie because of him. The Razzie was worst performance in a Bruce Willis movie by Bruce Willis.
Which Hudson Hawk won 3.
Yeah.
Hudson Hawk won 3 Golden Razzies. Those are the 3 awards that Hudson Hawk actually won.
Really?
Yeah.
So
it wasn't
I
that
got a funny
bad
story for you.
Okay.
I have this friend. His we love to fuck with my mom because she believes everything. And we have this friend, and he had a kid, and he named his kid Hudson. And my brother said that he named him after me because I love Hudson Hawk. So he wanted to take it further. And then he had a second kid, and then he told my mom that he named the kid Beckett because I love Samuel Beckett. And then he took it even further and said he named the dog Parker because I love Peter Parker, and he named the cat Henry because I love Henry Cavill. So he just
don't we all?
Hell yeah, we do.
It became this thing where like he has to name his kids and pets after me because we made a pact when he was drunk one time. I tricked him into making the pact, so every time because I said he won't name his kids actually after me, but he names them after something I like.
After your fandoms. Yeah. That sounds like a fade deal.
And I even told him, I said, can we just tell people that you named your son Hudson because I like Hudson Hawk? He goes, you can tell Bruce Willis that if you ever meet him. I give you permission to do that.
Fair enough. So the accolades for this film, in 1991, it won the Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Director, Worst Screenplay, and Worst Picture. Willis was nominated for Worst Actor, Grant for Worst Supporting Actor, and Bernhardt for Worst Supporting Actress. They were also nominated for Worst Picture in the 1991 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, which also is kind of a little weird, because 1991...
I wonder if this movie was just before, like, campy humor.
No, I think it's because they marketed it as an action movie.
Yeah, I guess.
And he's like hot off Die Hard 2, and everyone's like, fuck yeah, Bruce Willis is going to be a cat burglar, and then you go and he's like throwing pool noodles over
I wasn't putting this into context with when Die Hard came out.
Yeah, and when he took the Die Hard role, he was a romantic actor. He was only been in Moonlighting. No one thought he could do action.
Well, they went through so many actors before they went to him. It was originally Die Hard was originally written for Frank Sinatra.
Wow.
I feel like
he's like, dude, I'm 70 years
I'd
old,
heard that Bruce Willis was like choice number 8 or 10 or something.
Yeah, they went to like Arnold, Stallone. They went to everybody.
Like it took a couple watchings for me to really love this film. I think like watching Bruce Willis in this film, it was an initial jarring reaction, like Adam Sandler when he did Punch Drunk Love.
Yeah. Not what you're expecting.
We saw I guess a meme the other day
Adam Sandler
about
beard.
some Adam Sandler thing, and it was like, oh, Adam Sandler has a beard. Bearded Adam Sandler means like dramatic actor Adam Sandler instead of comedic actor Adam Sandler. And I consistently state that comedy actors turned dramatic actors are the best dramatic actors.
Well, Reign Over Me, he didn't have a beard.
Which one?
Reign Over Me. That was one of his most dramatic roles.
I have not heard of that.
That is very true. You haven't heard Reign Over Me?
Ted Raimi made a cameo as the world's worst lawyer.
If it's not fantasy, supernatural, or sci-fi, probably not.
Yeah.
He's freaking out in court, and then Ted Raimi's his lawyer, and Ted Raimi's just going, calm down. That's all he's doing. Calm down.
Mind you, Ted Raimi kind of makes a lot of cameos as the world's worst something. That seems to be his thing.
I am maybe a bigger Ted Raimi fan than Sam, because as an actor, he's just so fucking hysterical sometimes.
I've never seen anything with him in it that I
be,
didn't like, really.
And not to mention being funny, but he can be scary. Look at Henrietta.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing I want to mention about this movie, it's probably the only movie that I thought Andie MacDowell was just so super hot in.
The only movie?
And that was kind of her purpose in the movie.
What?
She's unconventionally pretty.
I mean,
Yeah, well,
So
she
she doesn't-
never really did it for me in other films.
who else do you pick to play a sultry nun? I mean,
She's really
So
the
the-
worst nun, too, because
Isabella Rossellini was originally cast.
The other
Really?
movie that pops into my head when I think of Annie MacDowell in a romantic role is
Michael?
Michael
It was going to be Michael.
with John Travolta.
I knew it was going to be Michael.
And I
she's
think
always
that
the love
fits.
interest.
I think
Yeah.
that fits with the nun/love interest vibe.
It does.
She's the ideal
Yeah.
to strive towards in every movie. She's always
Yeah.
the woman every guy wants, fighting for. Michael, Multiplicity, Groundhog Day, Hudson Hawk.
Yeah.
I get Groundhog Day, yeah,
Not
that too.
now,
I actually found her very attractive in Ready or Not.
I
And she's
personally...
like much older in it.
Now, this is a 1980s film, but she wasn't bad looking in Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan. She played Jane opposite Tarzan.
Really?
I mean, that's what I think anyway. It's
we
mind
need to do
you,
a Tarzan deep dive. That's what we need to do.
that's Andy McDowell across from Christopher Lambert as Tarzan. So
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
What?
I'll tell you.
I have not
A
heard
movie
of
where
this.
she wasn't an object of desire was The Muse. Great movie.
okay, I mean,
Because Al Brooks didn't need to. He already had her.
fair enough.
Sorry, I'm still trying
Almost
to imagine
sure.
Christopher Lambert as Tarzan.
I'll try.
Just
Break.
look up the
Brain.
cover art for Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan. He's right on the front. That's all you have to see.
That's her first IMDb credit.
Highlander
Yeah.
2 came out in 1991.
It's an early
I had
film for
Christopher
her.
Lambert
Made
in
an
it.
interesting point in the chat about 1991 being a weird movie. I mean, weird year for movies.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of weird movies that year. A lot.
Yeah.
My brother was born that year, so it makes a lot of weird things in 91.
I was going to make the comment that that Hudson Hawk being nominated for the 1991 Stinkers is kind of weird, considering
Yeah.
that Fart the movie starring Kesha was an obscure film from that year. I mean,
Hold on. Highlander 2.
Highlander 2 came out this year.
just,
Can we go around and talk about a movie from the 90s worse than Hudson Hawk? We each
Highlander
each
2.
of us.
Hold on, I'm looking at
my vote.
cover photos from Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, and why does he look like he's being crucified in all of the photos?
Because he's Christopher Lambert.
I mean, you could find several movies
I did notice
worse
that, too.
than Hudson Hawk in just 1991.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to go outside of
one from
1991.
The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes. I've never heard that tagline
Wait.
before. Go ahead, Bob.
Did that come out in 91?
No, he's just looking up the
He's just
Christopher
Oh,
Lambert.
that's the full title for Greystoke. Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Curiosity sated. Moving on.
moving on.
All right, the Stupids, 1996. Talk about a fever dream of a movie. People don't even remember that movie. But let's see what that got on Rotten Tomatoes.
The Stupids?
21%.
It listed below this anyway.
Actually,
Yeah.
listen below it. 56% is not terrible.
No, not at all. Is that an IMDb
I like
rating?
to-
On Rotten Tomatoes, I like to look at the difference between the critic score and the audience score, and kind
Okay.
of whatever has the
31.
greatest difference is like I should watch that.
Highlander 2 has 0%.
Just for good fucking reason. I mean,
So Hudson Hawk is 31% critical score and 56% audience score. The Stupids is 21% critical and 38% audience.
okay.
So at least Hudson Hawk is rated over the Stupids.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
It's got that going for it.
Had a musical sequence called "I'm My Own Grandpa."
Oh my, that was probably the best part of the film. Just Tom Arnold doing that musical sequence was probably the best part of that film. I've seen the movie.
Yeah, it was, and that was like, I think that was like the whole trailer was just that song, like the TV spot. All they did was show that song. That was the only thing I knew about the movie until I saw it.
And then it was just sort of a worse version of the Brady Bunch movie at that point. That's really what it was.
So, it really was, you're right. So as a bartender at an Applebee's, if somebody came up to me, one of these kids I work with, and said, Bob, what was the 90s like? Now, if I wanted them to know what it was like living in the 90s, I would have them watch Seinfeld. If I wanted them to know what 90s movies were like, I would have them watch Hudson Hawk.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a good microcosm of like what it looked like action movies look like, what campy movies look like, what comedy movies look like, all in one neat little package.
That's why I brought it up last time I was on, because to me, Super Mario was very 90s, and Hudson Hawk to me really emulates the films of the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of
Now
there's a certain kind of like an aware but unaware comedy that you get in the 90s that you don't get now, where you can have this character who's a cat burglar who sings Frank Sinatra to time himself, and it doesn't have to be like he's kind of the joke, but he's only his own joke. Everyone keeps calling him the best cat burglar in the world, and he's consistently successful. Like he steals the codex with
he's so untraditional, using skateboards.
Yeah.
Book of stamp, olive oil. It's like
right.
Everything they do, it's so like the finger cuffs, like it's so like out of the box.
Yeah.
And there's almost zero like introspection, like critical introspection, like, oh, the way that I do things actually interferes with what I'm trying to do, so I need to take that into account when I'm planning things. This is outside of that. It's, I do things weird, but that's the reason I'm so successful at what I'm doing.
Well, I think Bruce Willis is in a different movie from everybody else. Everybody else is in a different movie, and Bruce Willis is in his own movie.
This is a completely different angle on the like campy humor than most other campy humor in the 90s, because Bruce Willis is playing character. He's playing a character in a different movie than everybody else is acting.
They can't even get him from scene to scene. They have to knock him out and physically transport him from scene to scene. Like they don't have a way to get him from scene to scene.
4 times.
They can never explain how he survives falling out of a building.
No, nor how he gets shipped in packing peanuts. Every time he falls out of a building,
he just lands
without breathing a packing peanut in.
Yeah. Yeah, they knock him out. They ship him to Rome.
He did wear those packing peanuts pretty well right on his forehead, though.
It just doesn't. It's because everything else is like, semi-realism, and then they're like, well, I don't know, we shipped him. I don't fucking care. That's why he's in a different movie from everybody else.
He jumps out of off a building, him and Daniello, lands in an awning, and then he just lands into the apartment. Like he just
it's just transition straight to the apartment.
I loved that
scene.
transition.
Yeah,
I loved that.
And then he did it when he jumped out off of the truck with the chickens, and then landed into the seat at the restaurant.
Boom! Right into the seat of the restaurant. Yeah. Yeah, and then he'd like dramatic flair. Boom! Here's some chicken feathers.
Right.
Out of my hand.
I'm not going to explain how I got here. You don't care. Nobody cares. I'm just going to be in this seat now.
It feels like a D&D story.
That's what I mean about the surrealness. That's why I think it's very surreal. Because of moments like that.
Yeah. And then you have the really surreal characters, like the two, the Mayflowers.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're very extreme versions of that kind of character.
Mm.
Yeah, and I just love when Richard E. Grant's first introduced and he goes, I'm the villain.
Yeah.
Introduces himself as the villain.
And he gets a fax. He takes it and he puts it in a shredder and shreds it on the other side.
Which immediately spits it out the back of the car, yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, when you make your first billion when you're 19.
He goes, if Leonardo da Vinci was alive today, he'd be in the back of a Cadillac eating microwave sushi with us.
My son was like, microwave sushi?
He'd be naked eating microwave sushi in the back of a Cadillac with us.
Yeah.
First of all, I think somebody needs to explain the concept of sushi to somebody.
Yeah.
To me, that's the biggest issue with that statement, is the fact that he's microwaving sushi.
Yeah.
Well, it just contributes to the overall surrealness of it. Like at the end where Eddie dies and then Eddie comes back. He's like riding on a donkey and he's like, hey, I'm back. And they're like,
literally, smoke is coming off his body. Literally, smoke is coming off his body. Can you fucking believe it? Airbag, can you fucking believe it? Sprinkler system, can you fucking believe it?
Yeah, I kind of fucking believe it.
Yeah.
Like the very end. And then when Bruce just goes, Yeah, that's what happened. And I'm like, what actually, like, what is this movie? When Bruce said that line, I'm like, did anything actually happen as we think it happened?
No,
Right, so
that's
in this story, who is the unreliable narrator?
all of them.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Like, what are
And
they
just
doing
filling in the
It's
gaps
a dream.
with drama.
I want a phone that's like the cross that lights up. That's like.
Oh my God, that's so good.
So I don't think that the movie went the way that we thought it did. I think in that initial scene where he tries to get the cappuccino in the bar, they didn't actually shoot the cup. They shot him in the head, and all of this is just him living in a coma.
Yeah.
Throughout the rest of the
ended
film.
it that way, and I've been like, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
think he's
him waking
still
up in the
jail.
hospital after all of that and saying, hey, you got shot in the head while you were drinking a cappuccino.
Yeah, because it gets so convoluted. The CIA agents named after candy bars who are working for the
He's still
Mayflowers.
in jail and he's dreaming.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and they try to make it real complicated, but it ends up just not making sense. And you're like, I don't know who works for who anymore. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, like the
And
Mayflowers and the CIA.
Only the bad guys die.
And then they asked him to steal the horse, but they were able to replace it easily and also film them with hidden cameras the whole time.
Right. So why'd
And
they have
cover it
him
up. Like,
steal
why
it?
did they even need him in the first place?
First of all, cameras back then in the 90s were not all that well hidden. You didn't
Right.
have the itty-bitty little spy cams back then.
It'd be like in Phantom of the Paradise where he has cameras everywhere, but they're like the straight, giant, like VHS cameras following everybody around.
It's just like nanny cam teddy bears everywhere.
Remember in I Spy, the remake with Owen Wilson, Eddie Murphy, when he's like, "This is my spy cam," and it's like,
Yeah.
The pie.
Yeah. It's like my son loves Home Alone 3, the like direct-to-video Home Alone, and there's like a chip. And I remember when it came out, it's like Scarlett Johansson's first movie too, but there's a chip, and I remember when it came out, it was like high-tech, but the chip is like this big. And he's like, this
"Did
is
you
my
believe
chip.
Hughes actually wrote that?"
No. I mean, it's
He
funny.
actually
My,
wrote it.
my son likes it, but we have to explain chickenpox every time. He's like, what is that? I'm like, it's chickenpox. Like, you're never going to get it. He's like, oh.
I've only accepted one Home Alone sequel after the first two movies. For one, I'm not a big fan of Home Alone 2.
I'm just now realizing that I
Right.
made an egregious error right this second.
Did you not click record?
No. I clicked record. Everything's
Oh.
recording. We're fine. I didn't do that. So I was just... He mentioned, like, the spy cam in I Spy. And the first thing that popped into my head was a pie for some reason. And I'm realizing where it's from now. And it's from the fact that my son and daughter used to continuously watch iCarly. And there's this whole scene where he has this large raspberry pie with a camera sticking out of the side of it. It's just this horrible camera that... It's not a spy cam at all. It's very, very obvious.
Didn't they bring back iCarly and she's like drinking and getting nailed and shit? In like the new one, they made it all like adult oriented.
I didn't watch the most recent one, so I have no idea.
I don't know. My kids are too young and I'm too old.
The original was a kid's show, and then they brought it back with an adult, and she's like getting drunk and like getting nailed, and I'm like, wow, that's an interesting trend.
It's like Baywatch After Dark.
Yeah, well, that was
like-
during the day, Mitch is a lifeguard. At night, he fights vampires.
It's like iCarly OnlyFans edition.
Yeah.
That's what it, like, because to me, it's just a strange concept to have a kid's show. Then the character gets, like, they did it with Clarissa. Clarissa got a job in the city or shit. They did, like, I think it was like 1 or 2 episodes or something.
Were they going for Clarissa in the city?
Yeah, some.
Oh, I really
But,
liked Clarissa Explains It All, the TV show.
But to me, it's weird with iCarly because it's like, oh, I want to bring the show back, but I want to play her as an adult. So I want scenes where I'm like, getting banged, drinking, and getting drunk.
So they bring Clarissa back, and essentially we're going for Clarissa finally realizes she doesn't know shit.
Yeah.
It's like the follow-on to Boy Meets World
Yeah.
when he was in college.
Girl Meets World they had.
Well, they did it with didn't they do College Years of Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, they did Saved by the Bell College Years, too.
Oh, good lord. No.
Oh, there was a
I
novel.
don't remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember it.
There was a Clarissa novel called Things I Can't Explain. It was a sequel to the series. So apparently there were things she couldn't explain all of it.
Yeah. Explaining that most
The
of my
90s.
explanations were just me kind of bullshitting my way through.
Yeah, which is a good acknowledgement for life.
Okay, so I think the last episode is when she like leaves and ends up working for like a newspaper, or maybe it's the last season. To be honest with you,
It
been,
could be.
You know, like what, 30 years?
No.
Talk about it.
No, I think they just did the final episode as she moves away and gets a job as an intern at a newspaper.
Well,
But
they just
point being,
released-
it's like, you know,
They just released a documentary about all the child abuse, like the child actor
Yeah,
stuff
that
that
dude
was
was
happening at
touching-
Nickelodeon.
touching-
Yeah, on
everybody.
Nickelodeon.
Yeah, and she came out and
Schneider.
she came out and she was like, "Well, I believe everybody and I stand with everybody, but like nothing happened to me." And
Wait.
everyone was like, "Well, you should have
You know-
shared your trauma." She's like, "But I don't have no trauma because she's older than that section of kids."
Yeah, she was a lot. Well, and
Yeah.
to me, it's interesting that we forget about Drake Bell's accusation because he was molested. It's just like, but wasn't he? Didn't he do it too? I was confused when I heard, oh, the poor guy. He, you know, all this stuff happened to him in this documentary. And I'm like, but the last I heard about him, he was going to jail for molesting someone.
I think the real question here is how many parts can that crystal come apart into? Have to come back to that.
Just get back to the Hudson
Yeah, 'cause
Hawk.
he had the little one at the end.
Yeah,
that he took
because
out.
Da Vinci breaks it into three. He's like, boop, he just breaks it into three pieces. And then when Hudson puts it together, he takes another piece off, but it's clearly not broken. It's like modular. So how does it...
Yeah.
Maybe there was like an
Also, nice
anchoring pin
segue
for the
to get
whole
us
thing,
away
you know?
From the molestation.
It's just, we're gonna...
Just like,
That was a good segue to get us away from the molestation discussion.
Thank
'cause
you.
That was definitely
Yeah.
in a bad direction.
Crystals!
pivot,
Crystals!
Let's pivot. Let's go to crystals. How many crystals
Let's
are
go
we going
back
to
to
see?
Hudson Hawk.
Let's go.
Well, and
then
I
we can...
also thought it was really cool that Hudson, they were just like, yeah, because she, you know, because Annie McDowell read the codex or whatever, she knows how to put it back together. But Hudson just knows because he's that good.
Yeah, he's mechanical. He's like MacGyver. He's like weird,
He really
campy
is very
MacGyver.
MacGyver.
Or-
Because it's like, what do you need for this heist? I need a book of stamps. I need some olive oil.
If you've ever read the Jason Bourne, or the Bourne book, at one point there's the three books. He comes back later because someone is pretending to be Jason Bourne, the famous international assassin. And the real Jason Bourne shows up and is like, sorry, you're not as good as me. And he ties this guy up in a way that he can escape. And he's like, he can escape easily if he can think geometrically. If he can think like three-dimensionally, like how he's actually connected to the thing he's tied to. And the guy can't.
Yeah, like Hudson Hawk.
Yeah.
Oh, don't you want to swing on a star?
Well, then we get the best scene in the movie, which is when they're leaving and they take turns defeating people. So he defeats the butler, and then she's supposed to defeat the dog,
my
and she just
turn.
gets tackled by the dog.
Funny. So I love animals. I love dogs. I love animals
Yeah.
as long as they're not a cat.
Oh no.
But I love
Goodbye.
dogs. And so I'm one of those people that will visit frequently doesthedogdie.com. I hate seeing
Yeah.
dogs in films. In this movie, though, Bunny deserved it.
Yeah.
You will realize that there is no cat equivalent of that website. Doesthecatdie.com. You don't hear that.
No.
Because
Nobody
sometimes
gives a shit about
cats are
cats. They're
assholes.
demons. Cats are demons from hell.
I'm sure there's a site out there, didthecatKillHim.com, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you go to doesthedogdie.com, there's categories. Does the dog? I love when they lie to me. That's happened a few times. I'm like, what the hell? The dog just died.
It's like when Channing Tatum was in that movie called Dog, and they released a statement that was like, the dog does not die. You guys can go see the movie, The Dog Does Not Die.
So I
Whoops.
think when you go under categories on here, all triggers, you can choose cat, I think.
Can you?
But it'll also
I don't
tell
know.
you, like, well, let's look up a movie. Hudson Hawk.
It's like, yes,
Here it
Bunny,
is.
but they fucking deserved it.
So the triggers, does the dog die? Yes. Are animals abused? Okay.
Oh, there is a whole thing here. Does a cat die?
Oh,
Does a cat die? Here we go. Does an animal die? Is someone raped on screen? Does a pet die?
oh wow.
Is there
They added
dog
a
fighting?
bunch
Is
of
the child-
categories.
In
Yeah, so
House
it's
of-
not- it is like
A lot of triggers now.
Haunting on House Hill. Yes,
It's
5
sad.
cats die in episode 2, but they all die of natural causes.
I want to know how they filmed the riding the gurney down the bridge scene. Where
hey,
he's
mister, you gonna die?
That's when I was like, this movie is so weird because nobody is reacting emotionally the way you would expect them to act. Because, like, he's riding down this on a gurney and the lady's like, hey, you're going to die.
To me, that made it so scary, though.
Yeah. And he catches the cigarette and he's like, ugh, menthol.
Especially with 1-800. How's my driving? 1-800. I'm gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
I mean, like that whole scene is just everybody's like, he's going to die.
Oh,
Yeah.
My favorite part. I've got exact change.
He tosses it in. And I had the captions on, and every time he laughs, it says laughs derisively. Like, I don't know that I would classify that as a derisive laugh. Give me a laughs maniacally. Or
I was going to say
something that sounds
maniacally. More.
Yeah, no, everything was derisively. That subtitler was like, I don't know, he's just derisive all the time.
See, I'm very happy that we got to do this because this is one of my all-time favorite movies, and everybody makes fun of me for liking this movie. And I'm actually happy to be in good company of people who appreciate how great this movie is.
I think it depends on how you go into it. Like, if you're expecting this to be like a straight action, straight comedy, straight campy, you're not going to get any of those. If you're just there to enjoy the movie, it's really entertaining. It's a good entertaining movie.
Well, Chris, the cover of
Yeah,
the
it's
Blu-ray
amusing.
I both have,
Yes.
which is a copy of the VHS cover, but it's such a weird poster, like cover too, because it doesn't just say Hudson Hawk in it, but it says catch the excitement, catch the adventure, catch the hawk. And I'm like, to me, that kind of emphasizes that the movie's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Right, but mind you, it doesn't tell you that it's a comedy. So the cover itself plays up that it's an action film. It doesn't really play up the comedy elements, which might have been because they try to advertise everything like this was an action more than a comedy, or that it really wasn't a comedy at all. They leaned hard into the action with the advertisements. So that might be the reason why the film flopped in the theaters, because people were expecting one thing and they got, no, this isn't Die Hard, this is
the contrast between expectations and reality.
Mm-hmm.
There were very intense love story for characters to each other for like 25 hours.
They were looking for a yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, and they got, would you like to swing on a star?
Yeah.
This is not your typical Bruce Willis 90s movie.
No.
Because I remember when I saw this movie, I watched this back-to-back with Striking Distance, very different films.
If you watched Moonlighting, you'd like this.
Well, I remember watching it.
Bruce Willis.
I remember watching it the first time and thinking it was an action movie when I was little. And then I watched it again later. I was like, oh, I want to rewatch it. And I was like, oh, it's a comedy. And then for some reason, I only remembered it was a comedy. And so I was like, yes, kids, let's all watch Hudson Hawk together today. Because I completely
And it was
forgot.
literally an F-bomb every 30 seconds.
5 minutes. I was like, well, we're in it now. And so my 8 and 10-year-old watched this with me, which they really enjoyed it. But
The fucking bastards.
it's like, well, they
Don't
listened to our
compare this
podcast.
movie. Don't compare this movie to Die Hard. Compare
No.
it to Blind Date.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Also,
Though,
I'll
I'll be honest, I like
Or
Annie
True
McDowell
True
more than
Lies.
Kim Basinger.
You like Annie McDowell more? I used to think she was kind of annoying, Annie McDowell. I like her in this.
Yeah.
I know growing up, my mom watched a lot of movies with Andy McDowell. And then
I used to call
later
her-
on, I was like, oh, she's a much better character actress than I ever appreciated her for.
She is really good in Ready or Not. Bob mentioned that earlier, but it's like
Yes.
her usual character, and then all of a sudden, she's a completely different character. So
Right.
it's a really nice twist on her usual.
Right, and I think she has, as an actress, she has that capacity, but it doesn't get, she doesn't get an opportunity to do the, oh, twist! I'm actually a completely different person right now.
Often.
She did get to
I
talk
used
with the
to call her
Dolphins.
Pubehead. I used to call her Pubehead, and then I started dating a lot of Jewish girls. So I think now I find her much more attractive after having dated a good amount of Jewish girls because of the frizzy hair.
Yeah.
I think I actually like it now.
It's a look, and she's always got that hair. Always.
Oh, I think you might have
She
killed
used to
that
do,
for a
like,
minute there.
Pantene Pro V commercials.
Yep.
Yep.
I
But
don't
I
think
mean,
she's Jewish,
if
to
you-
be
if
honest
you-
with but she's got that.
if you do a side-by-side
Hair.
comparison, Kim Basinger versus Annie McDowell's just career, I can think personally of more things that I enjoyed Annie McDowell in. I'm trying real hard to think of much of anything that I liked with Kim Basinger in it, outside of maybe the
World.
original Batman.
Cool World, Batman.
Okay, Cool World, yeah.
You do a side by side. Kim Basinger is a lot hotter. I feel like we're just forgetting movies.
Possibly I liked brunettes more, so I mean, I wasn't into the blonde thing really.
I generally do too. All right,
I would have liked to see.
Never Say Never Again. 8 Mile. The Getaway.
Wait a minute. Am I thinking? Maybe I'm thinking
Cellular.
Cellular.
Are you thinking of?
I was just thinking about something off the top of my head, and maybe I'm thinking about somebody else. Hold on a minute.
Why is she credited for Batman Returns? She's clearly not in the movie because they talk about The Natural.
I'm over here clacking on my keyboard.
Yeah, but she could...
Nope, never mind. Different actress.
My Girl.
I was thinking curly, blonde hair, and then a movie popped up in my head, but it was Demi Moore, not Andie MacDowell, The Butcher's Wife. So, brunette.
And, I mean, she's playing the mom in a lot of stuff, like The Nice Guys and 8 Mile.
Kim Basinger?
That's just what happened to actresses. They're the sex symbol, then they start playing the moms because people age.
I mean, she's not playing a good mom in any of these. I mean...
Wasn't she a mom, the mom in Lords of Dogtown?
I think so.
See that.
Okay. So
I remember an interview snip with Meryl Streep, and she was saying the year she turned 40, she got 3 casting calls for roles as a witch, and that was the first time she'd ever gotten a casting request to play a witch. And so that was when she felt like she really crossed that threshold of age.
Yeah.
Okay.
The movie really fucked me up, Bad Mom, because I'm like, okay, now I'm so old that I'm seeing Mila Kunis play a mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Die a little.
I just died inside just a little bit. Yeah.
It's even like we mentioned about Ready or
Not. But I mean, I
also liked an older, mature Andie MacDowell.
I'm also old enough for Ben Savage to be playing a dad somewhere. So I mean that
he's playing a dad in his own show.
Yeah, he basically.
He went from the boy that met the world to the dad of the girl that met the world.
So just okay. So something we've strayed away from.
Went on too long and then got a reboot.
We've strayed away from this in the past few episodes, but something I like to we like to try to do is just sort of imagine. Say this film had actually taken off. It made the money that the studio wanted it to make. People loved Bruce Willis as Hudson Hawk. What would you have wanted to see in a sequel to this film?
Okay, Eddie was the real mastermind villain the whole time, and we get to see his whole criminal network.
Or like the Oceans movies, where we get the ex-love interest that wasn't in the first movie become a main character.
All right. So I knew this question was coming, and my answer was going to be no.
No sequel.
To me, it's a perfectly contained story. But Matt really brought something up there. I like this, almost like the bodyguard, the hitman's bodyguard, and then the next movie was the hitman's bodyguard's wife, or like like you said, Ocean's 11, or there's another movie that did that too. But it's like a character from the past, from this character's past, comes back in the picture, an ex-lover, and then fucks things up. But I still think you just can't top where he's at in this movie, because he's a cat burglar, gets out of jail. Next thing you know, he's in Rome trying to save the world.
Right. And I'm thinking through examples of stories where you go from this character, your main point of view character, and they go from anonymity to they're literally saving the world. But then the next stage of their story is the first part of their story is from their perspective outward to the world. And then the second stage is very inward as to what is meaningful to this character is the story.
I only had one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
So for the Oceans example, you get, there's this heist. But then later on, it's very much the story is about all the relationships that this main character has developed over the years.
Yeah, where you meet the guy who taught him how to do all that.
Exactly.
Or the woman.
The only way
that's a really good narrative trope, I don't know, style, mechanic.
The only way I feel like a sequel could have worked is if Bruce Willis wasn't having the form of dementia that he has. And I think a sequel could work decades later. The character has to come out of retirement to save the world again.
Okay.
I think,
Yeah.
Or even train the person who's going to save the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like the concept. The only way I can really see a sequel working is if they waited like 20 or 30 years to make another one.
Yeah.
If they were
it's just like Shaft.
if they were able to
They
do
make
like
a Shaft movie like every 20 years.
if they were able to do an almost immediate direct film related to this, I wouldn't have gone sequel, I would have gone prequel, because I would have liked to seen the story that had Corbin Burnson and him going head to head, where basically Corbin Burnson burnt him and landed him in jail. Because you don't need Corbin Burnson for that, because of that explanation he gave of him looking completely different, bald with a mustache. You know, you could have had somebody completely different play that role. You don't even need Corbin to come back.
Well, you could have had Corbin Burnson play that role, since it was James Coburn in this movie.
James Corbin. I'm saying Corbin Burnson, and I'm. You could have had. Fuck. All right, this is the whole Will Smith, Will Ferrell thing all over again. Shit. I had an entire episode where I kept referring to Will Smith as Will Ferrell.
I mean, honest mistake.
It's no, not even remotely honest mistake.
If there's going to be another movie, it would have to be a movie where they build up Hudson more than they've already built him up. And in what capacity could that be done? As a prequel to show how he becomes the Hawk?
Yeah.
Or another movie where he has to go against something even bigger, but how can you get bigger?
Right, and that's why you get into this like power scaling thing where, okay, yeah, you can go even bigger than the previous story about saving the world, or you can dive into the character and what is meaningful to the character. And I think that's why it's a like common pattern in these kinds of stories, of like the anti-hero stories, where the second story or the sequels are more of an introspection about the character, like solidifying their relationships. What was the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, right? 1 and 2, saving the world, saving the galaxy. And then, the Guardians team is now saving their friend.
I haven't seen 3 yet.
Okay, it's all about saving Rocket Raccoon.
Really?
Right? And it has nothing to do with saving the galaxy from some existential threat. And it's a really good movie. It's a really good story about the characters.
I have an idea for a sequel, kind of going on Matt's idea with the ex-girlfriend or something. What if Hudson's or Eddie's mom shows up?
They all you have to get the old team together,
and it's
like
Mila
20,
Kunis.
30 years later.
Or it's like everything's going great, and then all of a sudden his mom
to save
shows
the
up,
mom,
and
or
it's
to
like, oh,
save a daughter that you never knew about.
No. Who is also Mila Kunis.
I did
Both
like
the mother
kind of
and
a
the
mix
daughter played by
between-
Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
So I think with Matt's idea of the ex-girlfriend coming back, combined with Chris's idea of a prequel, you can have the ex-girlfriend come back, and then they have flashbacks to show how he becomes the Hawk.
Yeah.
1-2 punch.
Yep. I like that.
What if the Pope was the real
But
bad
at the
guy?
same time, I still ask the question:
The Pope is the real
Isn't he?
bad guy.
Isn't he already? And enable it?
Okay, sorry.
Oh, hold on. We're in Hudson Hawk, the 90s movie. Not
we
reality.
also didn't mention the scene with the Pope when he's hitting his TV with a staff.
Yeah.
Right.
This is Bruce Willis's only acting credit. Or only writing credit.
Oh, writing? Hold on.
Yeah.
Writing a credit?
Yeah.
The sequel to Hudson
pulling
Hawk
this
is
up
just
right
literally a Pope Vatican driven vengeance story.
Yeah.
So
Revenge.
I think we got to look at Indiana Jones.
Okay.
All right, so Indiana Jones 1, The Lost Ark, right?
Yeah.
So, and then 2 is the Temple of Doom, my personal favorite, but not as well accepted as the other ones. Then 3, let's go back to the Christianity stuff and do the Holy Grail.
Okay.
then they do 4 and be like, well, like, screw the whole religion stuff. Let's just do Alien. And then no one liked that shit. And they did 5. And I actually haven't seen 5 yet.
I haven't seen 5.
Yeah, but to me, it's kind of like that's the way they should go about it. So if you did Hudson Hawk 2, you'd have to stick with the similar type, like, you got Da Vinci, so it would have to be some other type of inventor. And since you're dealing with the Catholic Church in this one, maybe it's some other type of religious group of some sort, but I think you should have to stick to those similar themes.
Okay.
So maybe it is kind of like Temple of Doom, where he's got to deal with some type of cult.
So let's stick
That could work.
I'm going a different route in my head for some reason because I might have gone just mildly crazy for a second. But let's stick in 1991 movies for just a moment and make the sequel. It's a Hudson Hawk sequel, but we invite Christopher Lambert to come over and pretend. Basically, you convince him that he is filming a direct sequel to the flop that was Highlander 2. So the entire time he's in this movie thinking
the
that
non-existent imaginary film,
right?
Yeah.
Highlander 2.
The entire time he's playing through the film as if he basically thinks this is supposed to be a Highlander sequel, but everybody else is acting in a different movie altogether.
It could work.
Yeah.
Oh, so Highlander 3.
It's one of the
Okay,
best
I got it. Yeah.
performances. It's one of the best performances of all time.
What's that?
Michael Caine in The Muppets Christmas Carol.
That's true.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
No.
And honestly, Rachel, similar to your point about Bruce Willis being in a different movie, because if you look at the whole movie with the Muppets and the humor and the usual like Muppet type comedy, but Michael Caine just did a completely dramatic performance as Scrooge.
Okay, so on that point, there's 2 Muppet movies where there's a relevant observation. Michael Caine in Muppet Christmas Carol works so well because Michael Caine treats all of the Muppets as actual other actors.
Yeah.
But then in another Muppet movie adaptation of Treasure Island, Tim
I knew you were
Curry
going there.
Tim Curry works so well with the Muppets because he acts as if he himself is a Muppet.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that because Tim Curry in Muppets Treasure Island is incredible as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those are good movies.
So,
All of the
I had a
Muppet
buddy-
adaptations of
Doesn't
classical
Steven Spielberg
literature.
direct Treasure Island?
I think he does.
Yeah.
I had a buddy who was who got to play what's his character's name in the Rocky Horror? Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got to play Frankenfurter, and to him that was a role of a lifetime. And around the same exact time, I perform with a burlesque group, and every year we do our Halloween show, which is huge, our biggest show of the year. And he says to me, he goes, all right, so we decided we're going to do the Stephen King show. I said, all right, cool. It was my idea. And then he said, and I'm working with a LARP group in New York City. I said, all right, cool. And he said, and they want us to have a Pennywise to run a team of Deadlights. And I told them I have just the guy. And I said, wait a second. Are you saying what I think you're saying right now? Are you saying you want me to play Pennywise? And he goes, you're Pennywise. I said, fuck you. Do not mess with my emotions here. Are you fucking with me? He goes, you're Pennywise. I'm like, this is like a dream come true. And he's like, well, pinch yourself. And comes at my front door. But it was funny. Me and my buddy both got to play. Stop it. Tim Curry roles, which was a role of a lifetime for me playing Pennywise, him playing Frankenfurter. And not to mention how different me and my friend are, and could never play the same character. And it just shows how great of an actor Tim Curry is and the range he has.
Yeah.
I was going to say for a minute there, when you said the words pinch myself and then all of a sudden you hear the wind chimes, it kind of fit for a minute. Then it continued and it kind of ruined the moment for a second.
It's like him as Lord
The
Darkness.
rain cans, he was out there.
Oh, Tim Curry as Lord Darkness in
Legend.
Legend.
Oh, God.
Ooh, that works.
It does.
Okay, I'll go mild and I'll say just Tim Curry as the butler in Clue.
Yeah, that's good too. I mean, fine if you don't want like 6 foot tall horns.
Well, I mean, put him against Dave Grohl in the
Dramatic wind.
Is there a prettier movie than Legend? I don't think there's
Oh,
a
no,
prettier
probably
movie
not.
than Legend. No.
Probably.
I think the scariest villain in any movie was Tim Curry in Home Alone 2.
As the guy who runs the hotel
Yeah.
desk. Yeah. Maybe when he walks by
That was
Trump.
probably the scariest villain.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, Legend is probably the one of the few films that I can still tolerate with Tom Cruise. Is it in it?
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, just
The best Tom Cruise movie is
Or Tim Curry's. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Tropic Thunder.
Tim Curry's portrayal in Command and Conquer.
I'm going to have to
Video
agree with
game.
you on Tropic Thunder, because that's like one of the few roles where you ever see Tom Cruise not take himself completely seriously.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Probably my
There's
favorite
so many
performance.
characters in Tropic Thunder that I love.
I just like
Well,
the
it's like
fake.
he's always. It's like, okay,
previews.
Tom Cruise. All right, okay, Tom Cruise. And then in Tropic Thunder, you're like, okay, Tom Cruise. All right, yeah, okay.
Right. And
Yeah.
I've seen this story multiple times of Tom Cruise talking to the screenwriter and director and like, okay, I have an idea, but I'm gonna need like prosthetic like forearms and hands, and I'm gonna do this like hip hop rap kind of dance thing. And they're all like, no, I don't, you're being weird right now. But then he did it, and he convinced them to let him do the whole dance scene.
And it's good. It works.
And it works. And everybody was like, once he like demonstrated it for them, they were on board.
Yeah.
But that was all Tom Cruise's inspiration.
When I saw that dance scene, I said to myself, I want to make a Les Grossman fan film and star in it.
Was that Lev
I could
Grossman?
totally play that part, and I don't need the fat suit because I'm already fat and I'm already bald.
Hold on.
Well, that's his character's name, isn't it?
Lev Grossman?
I always
That's
like the fake
Grossman.
Hold
previews.
on.
That's my favorite cameo, I think, ever, is the Tobey Maguire in the fake preview, where it's the two monks.
Oh,
Remember? And it's Robert Downey Jr. playing his fake actor self, and they're like, they're forbidden love. And it's like,
I
when it
remember
turns and it's
seeing
Tobey
that.
Maguire. It's like,
I remember seeing that the young people want to cancel Robert Downey Jr. because of Tropic Thunder because they just found out about that movie because he does
Oh,
blackface. I'm
and
like, but
he
that's
had to
the
be
point.
convinced into that role.
yeah. Well, we're not going to go
But
with
that's
the
the point
don't
of the
go full
role.
retard line.
Right?
Oh, God.
Right?
Okay.
You go after Robert Downey Jr. for blackface, but you don't go after Ben Stiller for the,
Well, the
don't go
point
full
was
retard.
how ridiculous it all was.
Right.
That was
Well,
the purpose
I
of the
mean,
movie.
Robert Downey
It is
Jr. also said.
satire.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. said the "you don't go full retard" and he wore the blackface, but Ben Stiller wrote both of those things.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, you could not make that movie again. No.
No, but the whole point is that it's making fun of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why it works. That's why nobody's gotten canceled over it
Yet.
yet. But
And so, I
at
mean,
this
even,
point,
like,
I
the
don't
whole
think it's
Simple
going to
Jack
happen.
scene- the whole Simple Jack scene, like,
Just-
It's like
me.
it'd be fun to do a series on movies you could never remake, because there's also like Paint Your Wagon, which is the Clint Eastwood musical, where a woman gets auctioned off and she ends up married to she ends up married to Clint Eastwood and one other guy
Partner.
partner. Yeah.
Joe. With
Have you ever
Peter
seen that
Quill.
movie?
Oh, no. Clint Eastwood is partner.
Clint Eastwood is partner, and then
Someone's on my door.
Uh-oh.
forget who the name of the guy who plays his partner is. Anyway, Clint Eastwood sings.
Hello, you are live.
So,
on,
what? Wait,
Um,
Clint Eastwood sang in that?
Yeah.
I have not
did.
seen the film,
Yeah, he
so...
sings.
It's legit.
It's a Clint
Clint
Eastwood
Eastwood
musical
singing.
called Paint Your Wagon.
Oh.
All right,
Swinging on a
I
Star?
feel like the next episode of Cinematic Anarchy is Clint Eastwood starring in Paint Your Wagon.
Oh, no.
Did he sing "Swinging on a Star"?
No, I speak to the trees, but they don't listen to me.
One that I regularly sing out loud, like belted out in the car.
Oh, they
is
call the wind Mariah.
They Call the Wind Mariah.
That we know the songs to that movie. Uh,
1969.
yeah,
You know what? I'll do it.
It got an Oscar.
I'll do it. Paint Your Wagon.
it's good.
Okay.
Paint Your Wagon.
Okay.
Best Motion Picture Golden Globe.
Never seen it
Wow.
before. Not a Western guy, honestly. Well, not
It's
a
not
old
really a
Western
Western.
guy.
It's not really a Western.
No.
It's a satire on Westerns.
Yeah.
Oh.
The best kind of
I'm
Western.
probably gonna be doing my hair when you guys do that one.
Oh yeah,
I,
can
I,
tell.
I shouldn't have
Best
laughed at that
actor for
one.
Lee Marvin.
I shouldn't have laughed at that one.
yeah.
I-
Lee Marvin is his partner. Lee Marvin's his partner.
I would have, honestly, I would have done Enemy's Mine, but
Enemy Mine.
that was that day. Enemy Mine.
Yeah.
That one I definitely would have done.
That's such a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was... I remember I don't remember being as affected by the film as I was watching it more currently, like watching it for the podcast.
Absolutely, yeah, because we did Enemy Mine on my old podcast, Tales from the Choppa. We did a season 1. I've been wanting to come back from season 2. Matt.
I had a friend whose no, his Wi-Fi password was the get to the blood blank.
Get to the blood blank. Yeah.
But in Minecraft, when I make my fully enchanted axe, I call it Get to the Choppa.
Yeah.
It was a podcast called Tales from the Choppa, and it was about 80s sci-fi action movies.
All right.
And
Good one. Is that an 80s sci-fi action?
Technically, yeah.
Yeah. There's action at the beginning and the end.
We did kind of blur the lines. Like on Groundhog Day, we did Groundhog Day. And then we did a couple 90s movies. And we did a movie called Officer Down, which was made recently, but definitely inspired by a lot of 80s. When we decided to finally do a Stallone movie, we decided to do Cobra. But so it was like we kind of kept it broad, but that's the general. I guess you could just say Predator is like movies like Predator. Like we did the Running Game. We dreaded the RoboCop episode because I can't talk about RoboCop for only an hour.
No.
We did RoboCop
hour
and
is
the
not
new
enough.
RoboCop. Yeah, we did like RoboCop.
There is no
remake.
new RoboCop. They never remade RoboCop.
Well, I hate it's me yelling about how bad it was for like an hour, I think.
Well, you don't have to worry about it because they never did it. It never happened.
Yeah, that's true. It did never happen.
Like Highlander 2. Why did they just jump from Highlander 1 to
I
Highlander
love
3?
Highlander 2 so much. I can't. It's so horrifically bad.
I remember somebody saying something about RoboCop or a remake, and then Tommy Lee Jones popped up, and there was this weird red light, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Did they do? So what was the last Men in Black? Was
They basically they didn't use Tommy Lee Jones for most of the film. Oh no, wait, the last Men in Black was the one that they did with Chris Hemsworth?
It was like a prequel.
Yeah, but that was a spin-off though. That was international.
And then the other one was where they had to use Josh Brolin basically as the young version of Tommy Lee Jones's character.
Yes. In the most recent Men in Black. Yeah.
Not the most.
I never thought I would cry that much in a Men in Black movie.
Well,
the ending of Men in Black 3 had me in tears.
I mean, cry laughing maybe, but not that kind of crying. No.
No, it was with Will Smith with Jay's dad and all that.
Oh no! I'm just saying. You said you didn't think you would have cried that much during a. Yeah, I'm just saying that I've fallen out laughing a couple times.
I love a good unexpectedly poignant comedy movie. Like you go in for a comedy and then it hits you. It's always good.
They've always been funny, those movies, so I go in thinking, it's going to be funny, it's going to be science fiction-y, and then it just gets really emotional in the end. And I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? Man, I didn't expect this. I didn't think this was going to happen to me today.
All right.
Well, even like the movie Click with Adam Sandler, I didn't expect to cry my eyes out to that movie, but I did.
No, not at all. And that was him testing some of his dramatic chops, too, you could tell.
Yeah, it's like, it's going to be your regular, goofy Adam Sandler movie, and then you're like, holy shit.
Heartstrings, tugged, chest, ow.
And it's funny because he also...
Yep.
Adam Sandler also makes movies, and now he did it with Uncut Gems, and he did it with Punch Drunk Love, where he just emulates anxiety.
Yeah.
The great thing about Punch Drunk Love, I only could appreciate it after I watched it, years later, is that technically it's an Adam Sandler character, but thrown into a very serious real-world situation. So basically, you've got Adam Sandler.
Why most of his dramatic roles hit so hard.
What is going on?
It's because they're an Adam Sandler comedic character thrown into a tragic, dramatic
situation.
Universe. Yeah.
Chris, have you ever dealt with anxiety or suffered from anxiety?
Dealt with? Currently dealing with? Yeah, of course.
So I purposely have not watched Uncut Gems. Stop, I'm turning this off. I purposely have not watched Uncut Gems because of how anxiety-inducing I heard it was. But Punch Drunk Love, to me, if you don't have anxiety, watch that movie to know what it's like to have anxiety. Because that movie just emulates anxiety.
Very true. Maybe that's why I connected with it.
But
a little bit.
Yeah, anybody with anxiety gets it. But if you don't have anxiety, that's what it's like to have anxiety.
Yeah.
If you want to know what anxiety is like, go watch that.
That was one of just a handful of movies I walked out of, like watching it originally, but then picked it up on like DVD afterwards and found that I enjoyed it because I sat through it. It's like I expected when I first went to watch it, I watched it in the theater and I expected an Adam Sandler film. And when I'm watching, I was like, what am I watching? This is horrible. I need to go. I'm done. I came here to laugh. I didn't come here for this.
You notice he did that movie, and it was his first serious role, and then the next movie he does is a movie with Jack Nicholson. So I think when he let the world know that he has serious acting chops, that brought the attention of bigger actors willing to work with him and bigger filmmakers. So then it's just like Jack Nicholson's like, all right, I'll do one of your movies, and you got some shit going on.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson also plays batshit crazy pretty well.
I mean, that's his shtick. Yeah.
And him and anger management was great.
Yeah.
Ever since The Shining.
I'm gonna have to ask you to retard your anger. It's retarded. I'm retarded. I said over easy. Now, why did I do that? You know, when he made Batman in 1989, he was a big partier, so he would be out all night, and he was also a really big sports guy. So he would usually come into the dressing room, and he'd be walking, he's like, "Morning, Keats." And Keaton would be like, "Oh, morning, Jack." And then he would just pass out, and they would just do his makeup when he's sleeping for the Joker. Because he was such a big partier. Because he said something, when he said something to Keaton, he's like, "Do we really have to film at 6 a.m.? And he goes, well, yeah, that's kind of normal. And he goes, "Yeah, but I don't get in until 3 o'clock. Yeah. And then, so he would just sleep while he was putting the makeup on. And the one day, since he was a big sports guy, and back then, you didn't have as many sports channels as you did now. So whatever's on, you just had to watch it. So he gets in there morning, Keats, and then he sits down, he goes, "One hell of a darts game on TV last night."
I mean, if I were him, I would have asked, why are we filming at 6 a.m. for a movie that's primarily shot in the dark?
Yeah, at night.
I mean, almost the entire movie takes place at night, but we're here at 6 a.m. setting up. What? Why?
I think it's genius, the fact that he would just sleep while they did his makeup.
Well, why not? Probably the easiest way. I mean, you're not going to feel it. He's passed out, drunk and passed out, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I don't feel a thing.
I mean, Jim Carrey almost quit acting because of The Grinch, because of the amount of time he had to spend in the makeup chair.
Yeah, maybe if he partied, fell asleep drunk, and just sat in the chair, he would have been fine.
He was just little. His head would just tilt back. It's perfect because then they got good view of his head. They could just put the makeup on.
Just go meet Jack Nicholson. Come here, kid. I got a few things I want to show you. All right, so let's wrap this up and kind of go around very quickly. Out of 11, what would you rate this film?
Out of between 1 and 11?
Between 1 and 11. We turn it up to 11. We go by the Spinal Tap scale. I mean, 11's technically 10. It's just one bigger.
I'm going to go 8. I'm going to go 8.
8?
I really like this movie.
19?
It's entertaining.
You're building a whole new amp.
72.
But there's parts where I don't mind the mix of whatever is happening, but I can see where there are parts where you're like, how do you want me to feel right now? Is this supposed to be funny? Is this not supposed to be funny? Where am I?
There's nothing in this movie that wasn't funny.
I know, but there are parts where you're like, am I supposed to think this is serious? I don't understand. There are definitely moments where you're like, I don't know what's happening right now.
I mean, I even laughed when that one guy asked, "Hey, where's my cut?"
Yeah, and he gets it.
Yeah. 2 seconds later, he gets his throat sliced. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I guess you won't be attending that hat convention.
Exactly. For the one-liners, I'm docking it for the one-liners, for being unrelated to what's happening in the world around it.
This is this guy that's basically Mr. Belvedere meets Edward Scissorhands, Just.
I guess it's supposed to be based on the 40s and 50s comedies with Bob Hope.
Maybe.
I don't know. I haven't seen enough of them to...
Wait, did Army of Darkness come out in 91?
I don't know. Army of Darkness, is it 91?
Maybe they're like one-liners so hot right now.
93.
You should just throw
2
some
years
in.
late.
I got 92 on my.
Oh yeah, no, I have 92 as well. It comes up as 93 here, and then as 92 on IMDb. So I'll go with 92.
Yeah, so it was a year difference, but I definitely saw the style is very similar in the campiness, the slapstick.
Come on, world. We could have had Hudson Hawk versus Ash Williams. You could have done the crossover.
Well, don't you want to swing in the star? Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
I mean, I'd watch it.
I love how little attention we.
With blood. It was this blood used to ink the book.
Thank you for that. I love how little attention we actually pay to his cat burglary. Like when he breaks into the safe, he's just like, meh, the safe is open. Here we go. All right.
It's a heist movie with the least amount of heisting.
Yeah, there's like no. And they're always like, how are you going to get around this? He's like, I got a plan. And then they just do it. You don't ever know what's the plan. I don't know. The one was the VHS tape. Yeah.
It's rewind. That was his plan.
That was basically just looping the cassette, but he paid no attention to what was actually going on. Like, if he had waited like 2 minutes and then looped it, it would have been fine.
It would have been fine.
But he looped it too
like
soon.
The security guard's going, wait, though, those are us.
That's us. The chair's broke.
You think that's weird? There we are, right there.
What happened to... What are they like? Look at the blue chair. It's still there. What's going on? And then they're like, wait, that's us. Somebody hacked the system. And they're like, wait, you didn't figure that right away? It's kind of your job to, look at like, oh, wait, something's wrong. We better go check. No, it took them, like, at least to see themselves to realize it.
Oh, the blue chair's back. Yeah, that's fine. Lou's a carpenter. That's what he does in his spare time.
Poor Lou.
Did Matt turn into an octopus?
Yes. Well, yes. He had to go put the kids to bed.
Ah, yes.
But he also turned into an octopus.
There was a lot of fat jokes in this film. Directed directly at Danny Aiello.
Yeah, I feel like that's how you know you're in the 90s. That's how you know you're in the 90s as a character who is clearly not fat at all getting called fat.
What did you have for dinner? Why? Because this rope only holds 900 pounds.
Yeah.
Stop fucking around.
That's like a 90s hallmark. It's like, oh, this character who would not be fat by any means in today's standards is like, oh, that guy's huge. Let's make cracks about it. I said to one of my regulars today, I said, there's two things you never need to tell a man, is that he's fat or that... It's just not, I mean, I don't know. They're funny when you watch them, but you have to be like, you have to put on your 90s, like, you have to just kind of...
I'm like, I'm fat? Oh my God! Nobody told me that! Thank God you told me. I would have never known I was fat.
Look, my scale just told me yesterday, and that one doesn't talk.
Nobody's ever called me bald before. You're telling me I'm bald? Jesus, where's my hair?
That scale over there became sentient just to tell me to get the hell off of it.
Yeah. Wait till they start putting AI in scales.
Oh, no.
Is looking at the Google images, how much older Bruce Willis, Andy McDowell, Danny Aiello have become.
I mean,
almost like 33 years have passed.
Not for nothing. Outside of the obvious things, Bruce Willis looks good for his age.
Yeah.
He does. He really does, but he's bald.
Well, yeah, he was balding even back then.
He's been bald for a long time.
Yeah, he was. You can even tell in the movie that he's very much thinning.
Very much so. All right, well, thank you.
And honestly, he just, the older bald Bruce Willis was such a badass.
Yes. Well, it's like Sir Patrick Stewart.
I'm just laughing over here for a minute. Sorry, just ignore me.
Who doesn't like... Bald's not bad. No shame in bald.
I've got some pictures of me bald, and my wife told me never again. Don't.
Yeah, I told Matt the same thing. I'm like, honey, it's not for you.
I didn't have a choice in the matter. My hair just left.
You weren't given any options.
And it's like, people were like, why do you shave it? I'm like, what am I going to do? Leave it on the side? What's the point of that?
I've had a few points where I wasn't given a choice, like, my drinking bit me in the ass a few times. A couple buddies of mine thought, hey, you know what would be funny? What if we set Chris's head on fire? And then I wake up to them putting my head out with a pillow. So then next day, just buzz it off because it's all, like, melted, just burnt hair. I had, like, long blonde hair down to the middle of my back, and I was playing...
I'm sorry, did that happen more than once?
It's happened a couple times.
Okay.
I started telling people that happened to me. That's how I went.
Well, a couple times when my friends set my head on fire, like, well, I don't think they're your friends.
I just learned not to get drunk around them.
Yeah, I don't I mean, look, I've had friends like that would do that type of shit when I was sleeping, and that's just normal. I don't know. I mean, like Chris, if you and I were hanging out and you passed out drunk, I'd do something. I don't know what I would do.
Well,
Maybe
I would hope
take
that it wouldn't
pictures of
involve.
you.
I'm hoping it wouldn't involve fire. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And my
It would
head.
not involve fire.
You know, the fact
It
that
would
it took me
mostly
at
be
least
me
3
getting a
incidents
blow
for me to learn not to trust these guys around me while I'm drunk.
I would maybe get like a blow-up doll and put it, in some provocative position on you.
I mean, I looked like
Or maybe-
Danny Aiello at the end of the movie with smoke pouring off of me. I tell you guys one more fucking time.
Maybe I would dress you up like a wizard in your sleep.
All right. Okay. I mean, I could deal with that, but flames. Anything that
definitely
involves
draw a
extinguishing
big-
my
a big
head with a
penis.
20-pound pillow.
There would definitely be a big penis in your face I would draw.
You got to use permanent marker.
That's classic.
Permanent.
That's classic.
So then I got to live with it
Nobody's
for a
ever
few
done that to me
days.
because you got too much space.
Oh, the dick I could draw.
Big balls.
You got the balls right
Big
here and the
everywhere.
dick just kind of coming down here, right between the brows, if you want to add a little extra detail, you could add just a couple little droplets down the bridge of the nose.
Yeah.
Well, don't you want swinging a star?
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up today. Thank you very much for basically showing up for something y'all wanted to show up for to begin with.
What did Octopus Matt say about the rating of the movie?
Oh,
I think you'd probably go with what I went with.
I didn't even give it a rating.
I
did
also
I?
love that. Yeah, what's your rating?
I know you gave it a 72 out of an 11, and we got an 8 from Rachel, and you think Matt's going to give it an 11?
Yeah, I think maybe an 8 or higher.
8 or
He likes
higher.
this movie every time I put it on. Yeah.
He's doing an 8 because he has 8 arms.
Yeah, currently.
8 tentacles up? you
Yeah.
know?
I love that the microphone is pointed at the octopus.
It's really quite large far away.
I could tell,
It's
yeah.
really big.
And a little
But
bit
it's
of...
funny that I can still see the microphone, so it looks like it's right in front of the octopus.
I would probably, honestly, if we're going on the scale 1 to 11, I'm probably going to give it a 9. Because this is one of those movies that I watch at least once a year. All right? So, I mean, it'll pop on a random channel that I'm flipping through. Oh, hey, yeah, fuck, I'll watch Hudson Hawk. I'll watch this once a
Yeah.
year.
I feel like you remember this movie. There's definitely movies you watch and you're like, that was good. And then you just never... I never feel the need to
Movies you
revisit
can watch
them.
once a year.
Probably
Then I
one
got
of-
movies I watch once a month, like Fight Club.
Probably one of my favorite films starring a cast member from the Carmen Sandiego, what was it, PBS kids show? What's her name?
Yeah.
Wait, who?
Oh God, now I'm trying to remember her name. The one member of the one female member of the Kit Kat Club. I'm trying
I know you're talking about.
Yep, I'm trying to find her name now, and I'm like, I am way out of the IMDb area that I was in when
The
this
weird
came
thing
up.
Weird thing about taking off a bandage is that you twirl it around the other hand, and then you got to take it off this hand now.
Yeah.
I'm like looking through all the names now, trying to find her name. Lorraine Toussaint. You can hear her voice.
Gesundheit.
You know what? I think I'm mistaking her for somebody else too. I really do. I thought she was. I'm thinking of something else that she's in. It wasn't. It was not Carmen Sandiego at all. So ignore everything I said just a few moments ago and pretend that I still have a modicum of intelligence, please.
Can
Please.
do.
Please. I'm trying not to repeat. I've already done it. I've admitted to my own wrong. I don't need to go do a retraction at the beginning of the next episode.
Yo, she was the mom. She was Anthony Mackie's mom in The Night Before. Love that movie.
Okie dokie. Yeah, no, this is... I'm sitting here thinking, oh yeah, she was in Carmen Sandiego. That is definitely not her. Definitely
Why
not
did
her.
I not do the whole podcast just putting the microphone on my belly? Because this would have worked.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm doing this from now on. I'm just going to put it on my belly. That's the whole point about being a fat guy, is you have this ledge right here.
It's a shelf.
Right? That's the good thing. You just lean in a certain direction and everything rests right here.
Got it. It's just higher.
And that shelf is also the reason my physician has told me, hey, by the way, you need to lose a person. They didn't just tell me, wait, like, you need to be half the man that you used to be. That's serious. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I gotta be, I've been told I need to lose weight. I don't look it.
That's their go-to.
I don't look it, but I'm pushing the
I can't
300
tell.
pound
I
mark.
know. Wait, what? You're the 300 pound?
I'm close to 300 pounds, yeah.
I think I weigh more than you.
Oh, okay. You think or you know?
I'm roughly I go. I think I feel like I rotate around 300. Like I'll be maybe 5 under, 5 over.
Okay. No, I'm right there. I'm always under, just under. I'm trying not to make the jump.
How tall are you?
I'm only 5'8".
Okay. Yeah, I got a few inches on you.
Yeah. No, I'm a short man. Okay, wait. Nothing to do with that weird song that they did in the 90s.
What? I wish I was a little bit taller.
Oh, no.
I was a baller.
Okay, no. No, definitely.
And I'm only 5'3".
I think there was a song that was.
I contributed.
It was a spoof of a song, and I can't remember the whole thing. But they're talking about him being a man of short stature, so to speak.
We don't want no short dick.
Short dick man. There you go. Itty bitty, teeny weeny, itsy bitsy short dick man. But they played it on the radio, and so it wasn't short dick man. They cut out the word dick, and they just said short man.
Yes, you're right. Then I remember when Pete Davidson had that "I'm Just Pete" parody from the Barbie movie, and instead of saying "Big Dick Energy," they said "Big D Energy."
Well, why is dick such a taboo word right now?
I mean, it could just be a guy's name, Richard.
Big
Dick.
Richard Energy? Mm-hmm. Couldn't they just say Big Rick Energy?
I think I've heard that phrase before.
Big Richard Energy?
Yeah, I think I've actually heard that. Don't be a Richard.
Don't be a Richard. No.
I've said pussy on the radio because I had when I was a DJ in college, and one of the managers of the station said that she was going to fire me if I said pussy in the radio. So the next time I went on the air, I said pussy. But I said pussy cat. We weren't talking about context. She just said, if you say pussy, I'll fire you. So I went on the radio and I said, I was walking through the woods, something jumped out, but it was just a pussy cat. So I said pussy. Challenge accepted. And I did not get fired.
Oh, I mean, I guess...
Technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Now I'm just thinking of an old British television show called Are You Being Served?
I love that show.
Where basically, what's her name? Oh, God. Mrs. It's the older woman on the show who is constantly talking about her pussy in everything, and she always talks about it in such a way that it is never not a suggestive thing. Pardon the double negative.
I have an issue with constantly talking to my therapist about my dick.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I have OCD, and it's interesting to see how much of my OCD centers around my penis. Like if I'm in my brother's a mechanic. So if I'm with him looking at tools, it really bothers me to be around pliers because I'm always worried about the pliers pinching my dick.
Oh. Well, there's a lot of things that can pinch. I mean, would you be worried around tongs? Like salad tongs?
Not necessarily, no, because it's not the pinchy part of the pliers, but the bottom part. I put my dick there and it pinched me.
Oh. Perhaps you shouldn't picture that at all.
Well, that's the thing about OCD. I really can't help it.
Okay.
So I said to my therapist, I said, say you were treating me for that, what would you do? And he said, all right, well, we would get the pliers and put them near your dick, and then we would keep getting them closer and closer to your dick. And I said, and I'm just like, did my therapist just say dick? He didn't say penis. He just said, not put the pliers near your dick. And I also wanted to ask, and I'm like, wait, are my pants on when we do this?
Oh, good Lord. We're going to have to remove your pants so that we can get this closer to the dick.
But yeah, and it's like, and then I come back to him, and it's like I have somatic OCD, which is hyper-awareness of the body. Most of the things we don't focus on, I can't help but focus on. And it's like the one day, I was having this problem today, where I just noticed, part of somatic OCD, you can feel the clothes in your skin. But to me, it was like the cloth of my underwear on the tip of my penis, and I couldn't not focus on that. And I'm like, and I come in there, I'm like, why do I keep talking to this guy about my dick? It's like my OCD always centers around my dick.
Like, can you ask him for like stats? Like, how many times have you written this down? He probably has it somewhere. It's like, this is the 35th time in the past 5 minutes that he's talked about his dick.
And then I said to him, I did say to him, like, I keep bringing this up. It's like, I always have, I'm always centered around my dick. And he just goes, well, you're a man.
Okay, fair point. That's a fair point on your therapist's behalf.
I don't think women, because it just happened because you mentioned a woman always talk about her pussy on the show. I don't think women are as like centered as obsessed with their genitals much as men are obsessed with their genitals.
I'm taking like 5 seconds mentally to remember. When did I? Oh, okay. We're talking about Are You Being Served, and her always talking about, but she was talking about a cat the entire time.
Oh.
So
well, you could have told me that.
I don't think it would have changed anything.
I didn't provide any context there, but like she would refer to her cat and constantly call it her pussy.
As a shock comic, I mean, that's just my thing.
You're like, well, dicks, here we go.
Something very small to go on, and then I just blow it up.
And we're talking about dicks still. Okay. Ba-doom. Yes.
I swear, it's not my bag, baby.
All right. With that, again, thank you both for all three of you, including the octopus that we used to call Matt, for showing up for the the podcast today. And we'll start
I was
with
thinking about.
Oh, go ahead.
Thinking about seeing a fourth movie. If we can, maybe I can watch it and we can talk about it, because I'm hearing all these great things about this movie called Pootie Tang, and I feel like that'll be the fourth movie I watch.
I can see the box to that film in my head right now, with the guy in basically pimp gear, kind of whipping out the belt.
Written by Louis C.K.
I can see the box in my mind right now. All you had to do is mention the name. It's just one of those films that you can't get the cover art out of your head when you see it.
That movie, just mentioning that movie is the setup of a joke and the punchline all in one.
When I did insurance adjusting, I sat next to this guy, and I told him all about, he asked me what my favorite show is, so I was telling him about Babylon 5, and I went on forever about Babylon 5. And then he was like, yeah, you know what my favorite movie is? Pootie Tang. And I was like, I just wasted all that time.
You don't go full retard?
I was like, Pootie Tang? He goes, it's a really underrated film. And I was like, oh, okay. Like,
I just feel like it's really not.
The whitest 40-plus-year-old guy.
I want you.
Like, yeah,
I want to meet the people that underrate that film.
He was like, it's really nuanced. I was like, is it? I was like, I don't want it's Pootie
I was
Tang.
at work, and I got a regular who used to own video stores. We were talking about some movie. I don't even remember what it was. And he said, and some guy just walks up and goes, yo, you guys talking about movies? I was like, we mentioned a movie. And he goes, you ever see Zombieland?
Yes.
And I'm like, that's it. I'm like, yes, it's a movie.
That's
correct. You mentioned a movie.
Yes.
Like, can you just it's like saying, it's like, hey, you like soda? You ever have Pepsi? It's like the same thing. Oh, you like movies, huh?
Hey, do you like air? Have you ever breathed it?
When I went to get a tattoo, I was wearing my Forever Night cast jacket. And so the guy was like, oh my God, Forever Night. And I was like, yeah, like Forever Night, I have a podcast about it or whatever. He was like, I have Nick Knight in the DVD player right now. He had like Nick Knight in the tattoo parlor DVD player for people watching. I was like, holy shit. And he was like, oh my God. And then he didn't do my tattoo. Somebody else did. But he stood there and talked to me about bad movies for like 3 hours. I couldn't go anywhere because I was getting a tattoo. It was fun. I had a great conversation.
And the guy had a whole Nintendo sleeve. So I'm like, okay, we got something to talk about for the next 2 hours.
It's like the best conversation that I've ever had for 3 hours that I can't escape.
Yeah, it's really funny. He was like, have you seen this movie? And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, looked up the podcast. He's like, oh my God, look at all these movies you've seen. And I'm like, yeah. I like bad
Chris,
movies.
You like songs?
Yeah.
You ever hear Swinging on a Star?
Yeah.
Oh, just bringing it back. Like an hour since we talked about Hudson Hawk.
So, for the third time, I'm going to try to end the fucking podcast. Because we've gotten to like...
I'm so irrelevant.
I thank people for showing up, and then all of a sudden we like, hey, wait a minute, hold on.
Edit these?
No, rarely.
You edit these?
Rarely.
You might have to on this one.
Just... There's very little I edit out of anything. Like, I will edit, like, weird fucking noises out, or, like, a motorcycle that decided to drive by and drowned out 2 minutes worth of conversation. I'll try to cut that out if I can. But that's about it.
Is my 2-minute rant of penis OCD going to make it in the episode?
Oh, it's going to make it in there. It's staying.
I'm sure they can take special requests. If only you could do video, you could just see me sitting here horrified for like 15 minutes.
Now
What do
we
I
need to bring
add
my
to this?
therapist on and ask him questions like, so would you have my underwear off in this therapy? Would you be holding the pliers?
Exactly how much access do you need to the actual dick to be able to
You're
do this?
You're not ending the podcast again. Go back, Chris. End the podcast.
I was dragged back in by his penis. I'm sorry.
Mute Bob. Mute him. We're going to go to
I don't
bed.
think I'd be a good comedian if I wasn't able to just go on a rant of self-deprecation every 2 minutes.
Every time I think I'm out, his dick pulls me back in. So, Bob, why don't you tell him?
Bob, he's ending the podcast.
Bob, why don't you tell the listeners where they can find you and your dick?
www.bluntbob.com.
That's pretty
That'll
simple.
take you to a link tree where you can find everything from there.
Right, everything from there, and you can talk on Matt's behalf today, right?
I do most of the talking on the podcast anyway. Strangeandbeautiful.club.
I have noticed that.
Strangeandbeautiful.club.
Strangeandbeautiful.club.
He'll chime in and be like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's good. Thank you. Now we can keep going on my point.
And,
he talks more on the Forever Night podcast, which you haven't listened to.
I haven't listened to it because I am waiting. I haven't been able to get the third season, and I don't want to start until I have them all sitting here.
Yeah, third
I want
season's
to
hard to
binge the
find.
show and then listen.
Right?
I think Apple Plus has all of them.
Episode by episode?
We do, but when you watch, I think it's season 3. If you don't have the DVD, if you buy the season, it'll be out of order. So you need to make sure you check the order online and watch them in order.
Oh,
Really?
really? Why would they do that?
Well, it's a really unattended property. Like, it's really obscure. So I'm sure it's been updated a couple of times. And so they've, like, combined season number and episode number. So it'll be, like, season 1, 2, 3, and then episode, like, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 3.
That's a headache.
Yeah.
Think you'll ever do a podcast about Mary Kills People?
What?
I don't know.
What?
I was trying to be obscure again.
Well, good job. Right on. There you go. Because my head, I was like, what is he talking about?
What if they started doing a podcast on Mary Kills People?
We are looking for our next TV show. Time to start our next TV show.
Unattainable. It switched networks. There's no way anyone will ever see season 3 of that show. It's weird things like that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
You should do like horrible television shows made based off of 80s horror films.
Well, I think we're going to do Kindred the Embraced just for a break. Because it's only like 9 episodes.
You like the vampire
That's based
stuff.
on the White Wolf game.
She did Moonlight since she did Forever Night.
You like the
could.
vampire stuff, I've noticed.
Yeah.
You could do a podcast
That's
that
my
would
favorite.
last for fucking ever and just pick up the entire Dark Shadows box set.
No.
That's true. Because they kept bringing the show back.
That was just years and years and years worth of material. And even the box set doesn't have everything.
Chris, would you ever do a show on The Prisoner with me?
The Prisoner? Yeah. Why not?
That would be an awesome show, and because that was like one of my 2 favorite shows of all time are Angel and The Prison.
See, now that cough that just happened
Right,
2
right.
seconds ago is something I would normally edit out. But now that I've talked about it, I'm not going to edit it out.
Yeah, you can't go.
I tried.
But yeah, no, I'd definitely sit down and do a podcast on The Prisoner. Why not?
I don't want to, but I'm just asking for in case just to see if the possibility's there.
Matt's back, and I don't want to ask where that octopus just disappeared to. He sat down really hard.
You did.
Fuck, it's magic.
End the
Okay.
podcast for 45 minutes.
Yes,
All right,
you know.
well, this has been.
All right. You know what?
Turned into the octopus.
You know what?
Can you hold up the octopus and like it's a puppet, and then I'll do the echo voice as the octopus.
I feel like you just flashed me.
am the octopus.
You flashing me the underside of the octopus.
Well, that's where its mouth goes.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Right.
You missed the 30 minutes of dick jokes. So
Just
I talked about my penis for like 2 minutes straight.
there was a lot of dick in the last 30 minutes. There really was.
Classic Bob.
Well, it's just like, Matt, you ever go to a hardware store and you see a pliers and you're like, man, I really hope that never comes to a situation where those pliers are pinching my dick.
Yeah, that I would say that resonates with me.
Yeah, I would say that I have never thought that way, but I may have that problem now.
I go to hardware stores a lot. Yeah. And I have intrusive thoughts. So, that resonates with me.
I was talking about because I have OCD. That's why I post.
And now I feel like the next time that I go to like Home Depot or Lowe's or something, I'm just going to be walking down the aisles like, I don't want that near my dick. I don't want that near my dick. I don't want that near my dick.
Here are 7 shapes of pliers that I hope are never around my dick.
I love that the whole thing was just me being so ridiculous. And then Matt comes back like, no, I get that completely.
I concur.
That completely resonates. Completely. All right. So I'm just gonna end it. Drink some water, you thirsty bitches.
Yeah, I think
you did it. Hey.
And now for a few ads from friends of the podcast.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
We are the hosts of the Strange and Beautiful Book Club. On the Strange and Beautiful Book Club, Matt and I share our adventures discovering forgotten movies, television shows, and books in the science fiction, horror, and fantasy genre.
Not necessarily good movies, though.
Oh, certainly not. We love a good, bad movie. The quirkier, the funnier, the more campy, the better.
But we talk about some classics, too.
Of course, we can't ignore our favorites like Highlander or the 1990s vampire cop television show, Forever Night, which we are currently covering 1 episode at a time.
As if I could forget.
Oh hush, you love every minute of it.
Come join us every week as we discover, discuss, and dissect fantasy, horror, and sci-fi genre classics. New episodes release every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So remember, sometimes the strangest things are the most beautiful, too.
So be who you are and love what you love. Until next time, friends.
Bye!
This is Two Chicks Talking Flicks, where we review movies. We try to dig deeper and go more in depth.
And profound for me.
Yeah, for me, I'm just like, what? We even bring up relevant topics.
I remember from Punky Brewster that you don't go inside the fridge.
And we're here to have those tough conversations. Mm-hmm.
And she was wearing a white dress, which
was yellow.
Huh?
It was yellow. So if this sounds like the podcast for you, please enjoy new episodes every Tuesday.